You are now watching Demeech.
Gaming on the go has always been a game changer. There's nothing better than playing your favorite games anywhere you want, be it on a break between classes or on a long flight. But while portable gaming is very much still prevalent, there's an art to it that's been lost over time. Have you noticed that nearly every major portable system is absolutely massive? The Nintendo Switch 2 is indeed portable, but you're going to want a case for it, and you can't just throw it in your pocket. That magic of folding your Nintendo DS and throwing it in your pocket was seemingly a distant memory. Until now, that is. This is the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. I got it from AliExpress. Released after the Retroid Pocket 5, I was very excited to get it for many reasons. As much as I love the Retroid Pocket 5, the clamshell design was definitely intriguing to me. It's something sleek. It also could have better ergonomics, and I wanted something even more portable. Before getting into the review, there are two versions of the Retroid Pocket Flip 2. There's a standard version and a cheaper version that uses a weaker chipset. I'm reviewing the standard one, as the cheaper one is only $30 less, and it has less capable performance, so I would just avoid that one. We'll be going over the 5 categories and rating each on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, those being design and build quality, user interface, games it can play, features, and future-proofing. So the question is the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 the ultimate retro handheld, and is it worth getting if you have a Retroid Pocket 5? Taking a look at the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, it's very reminiscent of a Nintendo DS. The form factor is most similar to that of a Nintendo 3DS XL. It's a bit thicker, but it needs to be considering the power of it. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2's signature feature is that it's a clamshell handheld. A premium clamshell handheld at that. There are quite a few clamshell retro handhelds, but they're primarily for very retro games, like up to PlayStation 1 Retro. But the Retroid Pocket Flip can play up to Wii games, which I'll be elaborating on when we get into game capability. There are a lot of pros when it comes to clamshell handhelds. For one, the screen is always protected, it's less prone to scratching. It can also make a handheld sleeker since the screen and buttons are separated. But there are some cons. Durability is one of them. Sometimes, the hinges that allow a clamshell to fold aren't designed the best, leading to quick wear and tear. But thankfully with the Flip 2, the hinges are very robust. They feel tight. It's very similar to that of the new Nintendo 3DS systems, which is a great thing. Now there have been a very small handful of reports of the hinges cracking, but the thing is, it's not a widespread issue. There are probably way more defective Nintendo Switch 2s out there, but because Retroid's a smaller company, the buzz is a little bit louder. But rest assured, I've had no problems with my Retroid Pocket Flip 2, and I can say with confidence that it's built very well. There are a few different color options as well. There's a Super Nintendo one, and even a GameCube themed one. I usually would get the GameCube color, but that ice blue was calling my name. It looks so cool! I love transparent tech, and I cannot wait to make transparent Joy-Con 2s. This is especially apparent with the LED rings. Just like the Retroid Pocket 5, the Flip 2 has customizable LED rings. You can change the color for either side or both, or you can just turn them off if you want to save a little more battery life. Though based on my experience, the LEDs don't impact the battery life too much, so I just enjoy them. On the topic of battery life on the Flip 2 is really good. Depending on what games you're playing, you could easily get 3 to 4 hours out of more demanding games, but for retro games, feel free to play away with no stress. Due to the nature of mine being transparent, the LED colors sometimes mix with the transparent ice blue, but that's only with the transparent color. The analog sticks feel really nice. They are Hall effect, making them very resistant to drift, but their placement is like that of the Wii U rather than a traditional controller. I would have preferred the traditional layout, but it's not a big deal. As for the buttons, all of them feel good. You have analog triggers which are perfect for GameCube games. But I do have a critique. You see how much space there is? They easily could have made the buttons and even the analog sticks larger. They're about the size of original Joy-Con buttons, but I feel they would have been better if they were just a bit larger. One of my favorite aspects of Retroid handhelds are with the D-pads. They are so good, and with the Flip 2, no exception. One critique I have with the Pocket 5 is that it's not as ergonomic as I'd like. It's fine, but not always ideal for extended play sessions. But I'm happy to say that with the Flip 2, it's way more comfortable. It just melts into my hands, and extended gaming sessions aren't a problem. The Flip 2 has a micro SD card slot and a headphone jack. Now why can't Retroid make a smartphone? I need those back! Now with most retro handhelds, a micro SD card is a necessity. But honestly, there's enough space on the Flip 2 itself to the point where you might not even need it. It has 128 gigabytes of internal storage, which is plenty for the kind of games you'll be playing here. I primarily just put my favorite games on retro handhelds, and I don't go for complete collections. They're backups of my favorite games after all, such as Chibi Robo, Flintstone Surprise at Dinosaur Peak, and Nintendo World Championships. It's actually better to load games from the internal storage since games will load faster. I'm very impressed with the Retroid Pocket Flip 2's design and build quality. It feels like a modern Nintendo DS, and it's very comfortable. As I stated before, I would have liked the buttons to be larger, and the analog stick placement to be traditional, but as it stands, design and build quality gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. Just like with the Retroid Pocket 5, the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 operates on Android. If you have an Android smartphone, the Core OS will be very familiar, but considering the Flip 2 is a dedicated handheld, Retroid has their own user interface to play games. I feel the same way about the UI here as I did for the Retroid Pocket 5. It's good and it gets the job done. Curating your library of games and systems is easy to do, but I would have liked there to be more theme options and more customization. Another critique I have is that the box art scraping is here, but it's hit or miss. For something like a niche ROM hack, I understand that's not going to have box art, but come on, Kablooey is one of the most important Super Nintendo games. It has to be here. In the end, the UI is still fine. My main critiques are all cosmetic, such as with the box art, and everything functions well. There's a good amount of systems too, including Virtual Boy. That's when you know a retro handheld is going to be good. User interface gets 4 out of 5 stars. Now it's time to flip into game capability. The most important aspect of a retro handheld is game capability. How many systems can it play? And does it play them well? Let's start with the classics, the so retro games. Anything from Atari 2600 to PlayStation 1. I've been reviewing retro handhelds for quite some time now, and the standard has always been being able to play up to PlayStation 1 flawlessly. I'd honestly be shocked if the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 struggled with anything so retro. And if it did, I'd deem the Flip 2 a lost cause and banish it to the at-games realm. But I don't need to be shocked, or pay the distorted audio Miss Pac-Man hostage devil a visit, because anything classic will not only play great on the Flip 2, but oh my goodness, this screen is gorgeous. It's an OLED screen, so you're getting true blacks and whites. Classic games have never looked better. My classic system of choice is the Game Boy. This might be a hot take, but I actually find the Game Boy library to be way more interesting than the NES's. Games like Wario Land 2 and Donkey Kong 94 still hold up and are amazing games even by today's standards. One of the reasons why I love retro handhelds is the customizability. You can change the color palette to classic DMG green, Game Boy Pocket, or even Game Boy Light if you want something more exotic. And you can play the games in color with their Game Boy color palette. You get a lot more freedom here than you would with Nintendo's official offerings. No drip feed, no ugly microwave border. You can have it your way. The classic Pokemon games are the most wanted games to come to Nintendo Switch Online. It's been a long time, and we still don't have any of them. But that's the beauty of the Flip 2. Once you have a Flip 2, you can just put the classic Pokemon games on there and you're good to go. ROM hacks too. The ultimate test is catching a queen jellyfish. But for the Flip 2, it's going to be how well it can play more demanding systems. Systems like Nintendo 64, Nintendo DS, GameCube, and even Wii. Nintendo 64 games play and look great on the Flip too. As I always state, Nintendo 64 is tricky to emulate regardless of what system you're using, so sometimes there will be minor graphical glitches and such depending on the game. Most play perfectly fine though. I'd highly recommend using the MUPEN 64 app as a platform rather than RetroArch, as it has better performance and is fully designed around Android. Nintendo DS though, this is where things get interesting. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 is very reminiscent of a Nintendo DS design-wise, but the reality is, it's more like a Nintendo S, because there's only one screen. Here's the thing with Nintendo DS games, they will run great, but due to the dual screens, some games designed around them won't always be ideal. For games like Mario Kart DS, New Super Mario Bros., and anything that's not touchscreen reliant or dual screen reliant, the experience is going to be great. But when it comes to touchscreen games, if they're single screen focused, something like Pac-Pix, it's actually going to play just fine. But when games get real gimmicky, that's when having one screen might not be ideal. The best way to play Nintendo DS games is on a Nintendo DS. What I'd recommend if you really want to get into Nintendo DS games is getting a Nintendo DS Lite and an R4 card, or you could even get a DSML if you want something more funky. And if you're willing to spend a little more, you can also get a Nintendo 2DS, mod that, and play Nintendo DS and Nintendo 3DS games. AliExpress sells all of them, and they've been great. I'll link them in the description. I got my DSML from them last year, and I've been loving it. I wouldn't see the Flip 2 as a modern Nintendo DS, but rather a super-powered Game Boy Advance SP, because believe it or not, it can play GameCube games. GameCube has always been a major factor when it comes to determining what retro handheld to get for me, and I'm happy to say that just like with the Pocket 5, the Flip 2 will play most GameCube games excellently. Upscaled too. You can play most games upscaled at 3x resolution, being 1080p, with no issue whatsoever, but I tend to go for 2x 720p since it's not a huge difference, and the performance is going to be better for more demanding games and Wii games. You can even play most Wii games beautifully on the Flip too. Just like the Nintendo DS, the Wii does have games with unique controls, but for traditional games, they look and play great. You can even remap the motion controls to buttons, so games like Donkey Kong Country Returns and New Super Mario Bros. Wii can definitely be played great. Even games like Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 have a Revolution patch to enable button controls. If you're a 2000s kid like I am and want to bring your nostalgic classics anywhere, I highly recommend the Flip 2 as a Y2K machine. But another aspect I mentioned earlier is that the Flip 2 is very portable. I love my Nintendo Switch too, but it's massive. If you want a more portable way to play GameCube games, the Flip 2 is definitely for you. It can also play PlayStation 2, though it's definitely better for GameCube and Wii. Oh, and the best part? No drip feed! The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 goes above and beyond what I expect from a retro handheld. Because of its excellent Wii capability, I'm giving it an extra star. The Flip 2 gets 6 out of 5 stars for game capability. Let's talk about features. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 is at its core an Android device, meaning that you can play Android games no problem, and you can also use it as a multimedia player. You can watch YouTube with it, listen to music, and can surf the web with it. You can also dock it to a TV and use it as a console. For systems that use RetroArch, it's seamless. But Dolphin, for example, wasn't designed around switching between TV and handheld. It's a nice option to have, but I tend to only use the Flip 2 as a handheld. You can also stream games to it using Moonlight, which is not something I personally do, but it's neat to have. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 has all the essential features and then some. Thanks to it being an Android device, you can double the Flip 2 as a multimedia player and a gaming handheld. Features get 4.5 out of 5 stars. An important question to ask before getting any retro handheld is, what's my end goal? Do I want something that'll last me years, or do I just want something for the short term? Considering the rate these retro handhelds are pumped out, that's an important question. In terms of game capability, the Flip 2 can satisfy all of my gaming needs for years to come. mainly due to how fantastic GameCube and Wii games play. But there is one aspect specific to the Flip 2 to keep in mind. Because it's a clamshell, it's by design losing some of that durability in exchange for more portability. Now I've had many of my Nintendo DS systems for over 15 years now. None of them have had issues with hinges, so I can say that with the Flip 2, the durability trade-off is worth it. I find it to be way more comfortable and compact than the Pocket 5. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 is definitely a handheld that won't be outdated anytime soon. If you want just one retro handheld, this is the one to get, because it's a very capable and robust device. Futureproofing gets 5 out of 5 stars. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 got 6 out of 5 stars for game capability, 5 out of 5 stars for futureproofing, 4.5 stars out of 5 stars for design and build quality and features, and 4 out of 5 stars for user interface, giving it the overall rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars. The Retroid Pocket Flip 2 has become my favorite retro handheld. It has the same specs as the Retroid Pocket 5, but is much more comfortable and portable. Not to mention, I love that clamshell design. If you want to get one for yourself, you can actually get a pretty hefty discount. Here's the best part. From August 13th to August 27th, AliExpress is holding a huge back-to-school sale where you can get up to 80% off site-wide. I would have loved to have a Retroid Pocket Flip 2 back when I was in college. It would have been perfect in between classes. You can use a code Demeech25 to get $25 off the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, but what I'd recommend doing is adding another item to get your purchase to over $259, because once you do that, you can use the code Demeech45 to get $45 off your entire purchase. It'd be around $226 if you use Demeech25, but if you throw in an R4 card, you could literally use Demeech45 and it would be around $220. Or if you want to get a Nintendo DS Lite or DSML with your Retroid Pocket Flip 2, it would only be around $26 to $30 for that DS once you use the code Demeech45. As for whether or not to get the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 if you already have the Retroid Pocket 5, you'll just need to consider this. Both handhelds are exactly the same specs-wise, but it all comes down to whether or not you prefer the clamshell form factor. For me at least, I would easily choose the Retroid Pocket Flip 2 over the Retroid Pocket 5, but both of them are great devices with some awesome specs. So what is your favorite GameCube game? Special shout out to Super Squirrel Studios, Reese, Ultra Bomber 64, FastFan07, Soshi the Yoshi, Generic Rust, Colin Wickham Paper Brothers, Marcus TZB, Glitzy Terror, Mevins 2001, and the Ender Kirby for being such awesome channel members. You can get a shout out at the end of the video too, if you become a channel member. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments and keep calm and dada on.